The highly anticipated Fed meeting is this week. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve is expected to announce it's cutting interest rates for the first time in 4 years, and experts believe it could be a game changer for the sluggish housing market. With more on that, we're joined by our own real estate expert, Lane Lyon. Lane's a realtor and managing broker at Coldwell Banker. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, Corey, thanks for having me on.
This is like, it's news to people's ears that they've been waiting for.
People are perking up right now.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, so this is something many home buyers really have been waiting a while for. What impacts do you see the rate cuts having on the overall housing market?
Well, I think there's real potential to see and feel a shift in the housing market here locally. As you mentioned, a lot of people have been talking about this, have been anxious about interest rates for some time, but it really all comes back to the economy. Now, with slowing inflation and a weakening job report, we are all but sure that the Fed is set to reduce interest rates by 0.25%, if not more, perhaps even 0.5%. But we'll have to see. What that means, though, is that we will see interest rates come down, but mortgage rates run a little bit independently of that, Corey. And I think it's important to note that I don't anticipate we will see mortgage rates come down this week. Why? Because they've already been coming down in anticipation of this meeting. You might say these rates are already baked in. They're already reflected in the current rates. So I think that we are setting ourselves up for a busier fourth quarter. I think there's a psychological component as well. I think a lot of consumers will hear interest rate cuts in the headlines this week and may motivate a lot of hesitant home buyers to come back to the marketplace because they've just been waiting for mortgages to be a little bit more affordable.
Yeah, I was just telling you, my girlfriend's been trying to sell her house for 4 months. There's 10 homes now available in their neighborhood, and they just haven't been moving. So talk about home buyers who may be thinking now about jumping in.
Well, I have to say that now is always what realtors tend to say, but there is a twilight period happening at this moment if you are ready to buy right now. And the reason is the inventory that you were just speaking of. We have sellers who are anxious to talk to a buyer. We have mortgage rates that are down. And so even though we might see rates go, we're kind of in that mid 6 to low 6% range right now. The consensus is we'll see kind of low 6% by the end of the year. But right now, we have sellers just like your girlfriend who are ready to negotiate, probably offer money for a rate buy down, probably willing to be softer on the price. Once the competition starts to come back and there's more interest from the marketplace, I think sellers may be a little less generous, shall we say, because their confidence will be up as well.
And the difference is this time there's inventory out there, which has been a problem in recent years.
We have options to choose from. So I would say if you don't have to wait, take advantage of the opportunity right now.
Is there an advantage of waiting a little bit longer to see if rates go down?
Well, potentially, but remember, you might be competing against other buyers who are thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that, I've been talking to a couple of sellers who are planning on going on the market at the end of this year anyway. They're both retiring. They think the timing is almost perfect. Keep in mind, the end of the year, the holidays aren't usually a busy time for real estate. This year could be the difference just because we've seen the market really slower, not real seasonal, not following a lot of norms. And I think we're really setting ourselves up to see a little bit more activity, but mostly from doing your research. There are ways to buy down your interest rate, take advantage of 2-1 buy downs while they still exist, cashing in on some of the money that came from a 2-1 buy down if you bought last year. Really ask those questions, get the team together, talk to the mortgage professionals and the realtors, because we're ready to get to work.
I think you bring up such a good point, because if we have an off season in here in Colorado, which we kind of don't here, but maybe the holidays, but we might not see that because people are going to be jumping in on this.
Absolutely. We anticipate. Now, of course, we're optimists, right? We're in real estate, but we have not seen news like this really for 4 years. This idea that mortgages are going to be more attractive, more affordable, and people will have a chance to finally get their house.
Lane, real quick, any advice for people who might need to sell their home right now?
I would say this is a good time because interest is probably higher than we've seen in a long time. If you've been discouraged, hang in there. This is exactly what you need.
Always great advice. Lane, as always, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Chris?